Welcome to this stream. I am very pleased to have with me a guest I think you know, because if you follow this channel, we just saw Mr. Jim Bellistreri from the Throttlestop. It was yesterday, Jim, that we posted a great video from Elkhart Lake about the steal of the Mecum auction, a Z1 drag bike for an unbelievable price. So before we go any further and break this big news about what's for sale, tell me a little bit more about that Z1 drag bike and how you got it for such a deal.
Well, yeah, it pays to just sit and watch. And when you're at an auction, there's so much going on that you can get distracted. And I've missed bikes by just talking to somebody, and then they go across the lot, and then I'm mad at them or mad at myself, and it's like that. So when I'm there, I sit in a chair, usually by myself, and I'm just watching everything that goes on that comes across. And that's what happened with this drag bike. So I was
Unbelievable.
just there. I was just almost in a Zen moment. And boy, it just came and I was just there. I mean, I go and pick bikes out, and then I put them on a piece of paper, and then I try to be sitting quietly when they come across. And that was one of them. And I was really excited about that because it's really a pretty piece.
It sure is. You were in the right place at the right time. No doubt about it. The thing was beautiful. What was the final hammer price on that again? It was
I think it was 3,500 if I recall.
what a deal. What a deal. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed I wasn't there. I had to run to a dirt bike race to announce it, but you were in the right place at the right time. So kudos to you. Now, one thing we want to talk about here on this stream is now you're giving somebody else an opportunity to own one of your babies. And I'm surprised because I know the business that you're in. You have to let these things go from time to time. You have to sell them eventually. But I know this is one that you really loved. And you're telling me the Munch Mammoth is now on Bring a Trailer? You got
Yeah.
to explain this. Explain, how did this come about?
Well, we always have to cull the herd because there's only a finite amount of room and there's only a finite amount of money. And so every once in a while, I have to go pick a gem out and move it. And it may sell, it may not, but if it does, it'd be nice if it went to a good home. And here's the situation. It's titled as a 2001. Okay. Next year is 2026. So anybody that brings in these bizarre, distinctive pieces from overseas into the United States knows that 25 years is the magic number. If you want to get a bike titled, you want to drive it on the street. Uh, the work we went through for that CB 1300 Super 4. You can get these display exemptions and so on with all those requirements. And actually, somebody on Bring a Trailer laid it out very well for people.
Wow.
25 years is the magic number, and this bike's right there now. So in another month, somebody can go title this bike and drive it. And that's what really it should be. I mean, it runs perfect. And we have a video that we did of Ryan doing some pulls out on the street. Um, and it's just it needs to go to a home where somebody's going to actually ride it. Um, so good climate, good title, able to ride it. It's time to move on.
Wow, I understand that. Guys, let me back up for a second. If you're just joining us, my guest is Mr. Jim Bellistreri, motorcycle collector. He has a shop where they do a lot of wheeling and dealing, and something you got to check out, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It is the Throttlestop. We've been there many, many times, and it is worth the trip. It is so, so cool. What we're talking about now is Jim has put his beloved Munch Mammoth on Bring a Trailer. We'll post that link on Cycle Drag Facebook. It's already up there from yesterday. But Jim, could you tell me a little bit more about the rich history of this motorcycle? Because I know there's a lot.
Yeah. Um, I just there are just certain bikes that just grab me, and there's certain stories that do. And this one has a local Wisconsin flavor to it, in that there was a person in Madison, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, actually, who became a Munch disciple. And for those that don't know, Friedel Munch was like a genius frame builder, in later years, bike builder, and so on. And he built the original Munch Mammoth, which his distinctive feature was, as with like Bimota that we've talked about, is they use other people's engines. And so he used an NSU car engine. And so we actually have two Munches on premises. One is a 1974 fuel injected one. And then this is his, and I'm not going to go into the story of Friedel Munch's life, but his swan song. Okay. This last group of bikes was his swan song. So he had had a serious stroke in the 80s, and it really curtailed his activities. Uh, by then, the original run of Munches was done, and he wanted to leave his final legacy, which is the Munch that we have before us. So I first saw it on Jay Leno's garage in 1996. Excuse me. The bike was in 1966 on Jay Leno's garage recently. Sorry. And from that original story, he had bike number 2, or still has it, I believe. And so I started digging into the story because there's a Wisconsin connection with this gentleman who has now passed away, that went to Germany for the Munch reunions. And the Munch reunions were reunions of people that bought each of these bikes that were basically fine tuned to the rider. So if you were smaller, bigger, heavier, lighter, you could get different seat positions, tank styles, and so on. And uh, he wrote a book. And the book is just, it captured me because it was a story of somebody completely obsessed by Munch motorcycles. And um, not to get to the punchline of the book, but Friedel Munch on one of the reunions asked him to stay and in Germany and work building Munches with him, building frames and then assembling bikes. And he refused. He denied. Friedel Munch, he wanted to go back to Wisconsin. He didn't want to move. And he said that was the biggest regret of his life. So he had the opportunity to work for his idol, and he turned it down. I think there's a message there.
Amen.
So at
Amen
any
for
rate,
sure.
later on, there's a fellow that I know in the Netherlands that has a dealer, and he was selling some of the last version of the Munches. And I had lost 3 in a row.
Oh no.
So he had access to these bikes, and I was never like quick enough. And so finally we cooked up a plan. Was there was one last bike that was going to be made from the parts that were left. So consider it a, what would I say, a continuation model. Like we have continuation Shelby Cobras, continuation Ford GTs, and so on. Well, this is a continuation last series Munch. And basically it uses a Saab car engine, and Saab for many years, with a Cosworth head. So Saab's an expert at turbos. I mean, they had the Saab 900 forever when I was growing up. So it's just a tried and true power plant put on this crazy bike that's just a work of art. And it's very heavy. It's about 850 pounds. It's no lightweight, but it's got turbo boost that at a very low RPM, like right off of the teens, basically, that'll just pull the front end up. And if you watch Ryan ride this thing out in front of the Throttlestop, and you look at the horizontal line on that camera that's on his helmet, you can see that horizontal line drop as he accelerates, because that front wheel, he is managing wheel lift on an 850-pound, 260 horse turbo Munch. And so, and it's so quiet. That's the thing about it, is turbos are always quiet.
Yes.
But the thing is just super distinctive, and it needs to be somewhere where somebody's going to ride it.
Mm.
And in Wisconsin, it's not happening.
Well, you hear that in
So
the
I hope
comments,
I
guys.
hope
You
it
can
goes
own
to a
this.
good home, because nobody will pull up next to you in one of these in the United States. I can guarantee you.
Well, that's what's cool. A lot of the different rallies I go to, too, everybody wants to stand out and have something different. This is something that will be very different. Shout out Luke, John, Mike M, watching us in the comments. Smash like, guys. Let us know you're here. Give this a share. And again, I will share that link on Cycle Drag Facebook so you guys can visit, bring a trailer if you're interested in this, or you can get a hold of the Throttlestop directly. They'll let you know where to go. Jim, a couple other questions I have for you is I think we're kind of in an interesting time right now that after COVID, we saw this huge run up, this huge explosion of collectibles in general. I talked to my friends in the baseball card and comic book world, and then that translated right over to the collector bike and car world, where for all these past few years at Mecum, we saw a new record on the Z1, new record on the H2. Seems like now, I mean, we're getting numbers that inflation seems to be cooling off a little bit. Stock market's not doing bad, but I'm hearing from so many people that things are just cooling off a little bit in the collector market. What are you seeing from your standpoint, and what do you attribute to what's going on?
Well, I think we do see that at the Throttle Stop. Mostly what we sell is distinctive classic cars and even newbies. But it I think it's different. Like, our turns are up. The quality of the cars are that people want to move. They're those that quality is declining a little bit, and the prices are declining a little bit because of that. And so it's really tough to find great stuff, but we do. And when we find it, the buyers are still there. But the thing it's a two-edged sword. The thing I really like about it is the true enthusiast. Maybe they're going to not be priced out of things now. So, um, COVID was an artificial kind of thing, and I don't claim to understand it exactly. All I know is there was a lot of boredom and there was a lot of money in the computer age.
You
so,
said it. That's
um,
true. That's true.
but um, but that wrecked it for a lot of enthusiasts. So any of these things that drive up prices, because the true enthusiast uses what they buy, and when it gets mixed up with like this investor group or whatever, they don't use it, and they're quite frankly not as passionate about what they have, um, and that hurts us enthusiasts. So maybe, just maybe, um, things are going to be priced so that the enthusiasts can really enjoy uh, these great bikes, for instance. I don't know, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard to figure out. I think you just nailed it that there was boredom and money during COVID. But I often wonder now with things seemingly being okay economically, we're seeing it a lot in motorsports that a lot of these companies they just don't have money. There's not budget there. And I was talking with my friend and I said, are we paying the price for what had happened years past? Or is this more forward looking that people are maybe a little bit apprehensive about what's around the corner and people aren't necessarily expecting a good economic 2026. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but all I know is something has definitely changed this year in the collector market and in the motorsports world. It seems like.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's no question. I mean, the uncertainty just paralyzes people. But the other thing I can tell you is, we were just talking about it yesterday. So we're, even just like sets of tires for the race cars. I mean, the sets of tires like have doubled. in the last year and a half. I mean, I just paid $2,800 for 4 tires for a C7 Grand Sport track car because we're running the OEM Cup twos. 2,800 bucks for a set of tires. Hoosier came out with these Track Attack tire 200 treadwear tires. Just cost me $2,100 to throw a set of those on a 16 GT4 Porsche track car. 2,000 bucks for. I mean, we used to pay $2,000 for a set of new Pirelli slicks. I get that, but man, these are DOT tires. So just even the tires alone, if you're doing track events, man, they've doubled in the last couple of years. And I don't know where that's going, but I think twice about uh, heat cycling some tires out. Now I'm running them to the cords, and if my one of the 4 tires is corded, I just put one on at a time. I mean, learn to drive with it. That's what I've been doing, unless we're racing. We're but this is with cars, so it's just like the prices for parts and everything, and the availability of parts, and it's getting tough, man. It's different.
It
There's
is.
something going on, and I don't claim to know what it is.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I heard that. I had a lot of friends that went to SEMA, and they said from a lot of these companies, there's just a lot of uncertainty right now about what's going on. So I think you did nail it. Let's hope there's better days ahead because that's always good for motorsports and that's good for the collector market. And I know you got a lot of gems that hopefully are going to keep going up. If people have not watched any of our videos, you got a Z1 original Z1 with less than 200 miles on it, which is pretty crazy. You also found a great deal on a Z2. I give you credit for. I don't know if you. I know you don't look on Facebook much, but I just posted the great Joe Koenig standing by your Z2, and it went nuts. It got like 2,000
Mm.
2,000 views on Cycle Drag Facebook. But that's an example of a bike that we watched that it kind of had all this pomp and circumstance and all this hype behind it, and now it seems like the Z2 has really cooled off, which thankfully for you, I don't know if everybody knows this, but the one that we covered extensively was headed for the throttle stop. Thank God it never made it there because it had a problem with the VIN. But that Z2 is now with Leroy Mitzel, who got it for a good deal, and you were able to find one for much less as well. Tell me about that bike and how you're able to find some of these things.
Well, the blue one that you and Brady reviewed, that came from Europe, and
That's a clean
so
bike, very clean bike.
yeah, and I mean, uh, people think, well, if you're in the United States, like we're the center of the universe. Well, we're not. Okay, so we're not going to find a bunch of Z2s floating around in the U.S. because they never came here. So you're going to find them in Japan. You're going to find them in the EU. And so I just go upstream to where the bikes are and just develop relationships with people. And that's how that bike happened. It was a relationship through a relationship that knew of this bike, and on and on and on. And that's how it happened. It's friend
Well,
of a friend of a friend. But it's not in this country. You can look all day long in this country, and it's not happening.
well, you've got a knack for finding those deals. So let me ask you this as we look ahead, heading into Mecum 2026, which will be here before we know it. You had such a great Mecum last year with the deals that you found. What's going to be on your radar this year? What are you going to be looking for?
Um, well, without tipping my hat too much,
I
those
guess
things
there's
that
too
others
much. We
aren't
got to keep
looking
some
for.
secrets, right?
Okay, those things but distinctive bikes that never came to the United States. That's certainly one. Some bimoto work, which is certainly number two. But that's me. That's not. That's just a personal passion. All right. And anything that comes along that is like that Z1 drag bike that is just special, that others might not care for, but I do. Those are the three things I'm going to be looking for.
That's all, and that is a special buy. Like I said, I love it as a drag bike, me being cycle drag, but I even think that if you were to part that bike out and take the Z1 engine and give it to somebody like Mike Konopacki, who would then turn it into what we saw a few years ago that he broke the record with, he got $50,000 for that motorcycle. And that's basically what Pac-Man told me is find a Z1 engine with the numbers and the frame and everything else you can get repop. And a lot of that bike, believe it or not, was reproduction. So you're a very astute collector. I got to ask your opinion on this. What do you think about reproduction versus bone stock? That we're seeing the people that make them seem to like the over restored, shiny jewelry bike. Your Z1 is not repop. It's as it rolled off the assembly line. What do you prefer?
Well, I prefer original. However, I really appreciate that there are these parts available. So kudos to those people that are making them, because special bikes need to live on.
For sure.
And there's only so many original parts, and the quality of the original parts, like man, the exhaust system in like a CB 504 Honda from 1972. I mean, those things could barely be bolted on. They were so flimsy. So, I really appreciate and want to support people that make repop parts for classic bikes because it allows them to live on.
I like it. I like it. And one of those companies is with us, Z1 in Oceanside, California. Nori Miata, who always smashes the record with the H2. You may have bought something off him from time to time. He's a big Z1 guy. He goes over there and gets everything that he needs. And I love it because, me being a Z1 guy and a KZ guy, my dad laughs and says there's more available for these bikes now than when he was coming up in the 70s. So,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I think the quality is probably better
yeah. Oh,
than the
for sure.
original
Yeah.
parts. I mean,
On a lot of
that
these
goes
things.
kind of goes without saying, but
Well, that's what's funny was when I was looking at your original Z1, that's Brady brought up the good point that your bike it's so beautiful and it is the old cliche, it's only original one. So I appreciate the heck out of it. So don't take it the wrong way. But I was looking at the tank and I'm like, Brady, this paint looks a little off. And he brought up a good point, and he said, that's 1970s paint. We're used to seeing reproduction stuff with today's paint technology that's flawless. Back in the year 1973, that's what a flawless paint job looked like. It had maybe a couple imperfections here or there, it just wasn't quite as perfect. So I appreciate that for sure. But it's amazing now that I know the late John Craman. That's what he told me when Konopacki's bike went across the block. Is it was way shinier than any Z1 you ever could find in 1973. Everything on that thing was just total 2024 technology.
yeah, and there's a place for that. People like different things. Um, it it's I just prefer the original stuff, but heck, if you actually want to ride something, uh, probably better the way that bike was put together. And then
Amen.
the other thing is like the other Z2 that I call it the original one with the original patina that I know you've seen, but we haven't talked about it much. But it's also another place. It's a time capsule to really more clarify the history of like how these things got built, which is kind of fascinating too. Because some of these there may be a wrong tank color on a bike, and we had that issue with one of Brady from Brady's 1970 H1s, Kawasaki H1s, where it had a tank color on it that was from 69. And well, but they had extra tanks left over, and now they were stamping the bike 70. Well, they're not going to repaint the tanks, they're going to use them. So, I mean, you learn these little things about the factories that and how they weren't looking back 50 years from now going, well, we can't put this color tank on the next model year because it's not in the brochure. Nah, they just put the tank on and moved it. That's what they do. They build motorcycles.
That's right.
I mean, you learn those things though when you look back at these old time capsules. and
I
it's
got to
just
introduce you to my
fascinating.
buddy Smoking Joe. He's a big historian and he loves triples. And he's got something. He's got original paint off a 1972 H2, and on the back there's three little fingerprints in blue. And like at first he thought it was inauthentic, but then he started doing some research. And he found out that oftentimes there were women painting these bikes in the factory in Japan, and he thinks that it may have just been some paint on the fingers, on the back. And so he's got blue fingerprints on the back of his 1972 Kawasaki original bodywork. And it's like, man, if some of this stuff could talk. But hey, we're all human, right? Nothing, you're going to probably see stuff that's more perfect in 2025 than you did back in the 70s. People could make mistakes like that and push it through.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just and things are very, very automated right now, and they were very, very handmade back then. So there's going to be variations.
Amen. Well, Jim, this has been awesome as we wrap this up. Where the heck are you? Are you in law? Are you in
I,
Nevada? Are you
I'm in Nevada at
okay?
we have three huge karting events over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
One at the Speedway, one was at the Rio, and then we have one at Spring Mountain this weekend right now
Oh, very
that
cool. Well,
we're
enjoy.
a couple buddies of mine are running in, so I'm supporting that. Um, so it's a big karting weekend this weekend.
When will you be back in Florida?
Uh, uh, for the Kissimmee auction in January.
Very cool. So you stay in Nevada till then, or will you be back at the throttle
No, I'm
stop?
going to go back to Wisconsin, and then we're going to wrap up our year and do our planning for next year.
Awesome.
And what events we're going to do, things of that nature. When it's quiet in the winter in Wisconsin, it's a good time to get things done.
And it is quiet up there,
It's quiet.
unless you hear Joe Koenig on his snowmobile or on his dirt bike. There's a lot of that going on up there, but it gets
Yeah.
quiet and cold. But it's such a wonderful place. I appreciate you having me up there multiple times, and that's why last
Oh,
time
I
I had to
love it.
take a little jog around the property just because it's just really a slice of heaven up there that everybody needs to experience.
Yeah. And maybe we can get you up there in July to do that historic race, which is one of our big events. I don't know if that's going to work out for you, but man, oh man, I just, you're a true enthusiast, so you're fun to have around.
I appreciate it,
It's
man.
awesome.
Well, thank you so much. My plan is I'm actually loading up. I've been trying to go home to Pittsburgh for the last 3 months. I've just been busy. It's been one thing after another, so I haven't. I need to go visit mom. But on the way up, I don't know if you've ever been there. I'm going to stop at Wheels Through Time and just talk to the owner, and we're going to do a little piece on some of his favorite bikes. So looking forward to that. And then before you know it, here we go back into racing season and Meekum season.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, Wheels Through Time will be a really cool experience for you. If you've never been there, it's cool.
Awesome. Well, you guys will be able to see this on this channel. And remember, if you're watching this video, please check out everything that I did with Jim right now. The most recent upload features his Ford Flathead bike and also his Z1 drag bike. We've done features on the Z1, the Z2, the Bimotas. There's all kind of cool stuff. And more than anything, what we really wanted to tell you is if you know anybody that might be interested in this Munch Mammoth, a very rare motorcycle, spread the word, share this around and visit Bring a Trailer, call the Throttle Stop, or visit Cycle Drag Facebook, and that link will be there. And hopefully, Jim, we could send this beloved bike to a happy home.
That would be awesome.
Yes, yes, indeed. Well, let me not tie you up here your whole Saturday. You go out and enjoy that race. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And keep me posted on this auction if there's anything else I can do to try to get the word out.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it. You take care.
My pleasure, man. Great to see you, Jim. Thanks so much.
Yep.
That is Jim from the Throttle Stop. Check out that auction, guys.